I went to undergraduate school at LSU in Baton Rouge, and my reason for going there was because I was a product of New Orleans, and I got a great scholarship to go to LSU. It was close to home, and I knew that they had the kind of science programs that I was interested in, and I wasn't completely decided on exactly what my major would be, but I knew that LSU would provide me quite the spectrum of choices. So I ended up as a microbiology major, minoring in English and Spanish, and then I didn't quite know what to do with myself. I knew my options were medical school. I kind of had an idea of what graduate school was like. I didn't really know what you could do with an undergraduate degree in microbiology. No one ever talked to us about what sorts of jobs were available if you just ended your education at that point. So I started kind of frantically applying to medical schools and graduate schools, just trying to figure out, what was going to work out for me. And I actually got accepted to the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences here in the Medical Center, and that's the graduate school that serves MD Anderson as well as the UT Medical School. It also allows you to pursue doctoral and master's level degrees at the dental school or the School of Public Health, so it's quite a broad graduate school. So even though I was accepted, I wasn't quite sure whether or not I wanted to accept the acceptance, if you will, because I really didn't know what research entailed. So I decided to defer my admission to graduate school and work in a research lab. And so I started interviewing for jobs in the medical center. And I ended up working at Baylor College of Medicine here in the medical center for a year as a technician. And that was really an eye-opening experience because it was my first exposure to wet bench research where things didn't go as you planned. You had to troubleshoot experiments. You had to really think carefully when things didn't turn out as you planned, and work through problems. And to my surprise, I enjoyed that process. So that convinced me to accept the offer to start graduate school here. And even having accepted the offer for graduate school, I didn't really know what I wanted to specialize in. So I rotated through a number of different laboratories that did lots of different things. There was a virology laboratory, there was a microbiology laboratory, a cancer biology laboratory, a chemistry laboratory. And that was one of the great things about this specific graduate program, that you had the freedom to choose from so many different types of science being done. So ultimately, I ended up choosing a laboratory at MD Anderson Cancer Center to do my PhD work in. And that was my first introduction to leukemia, which is the same field that I study now. And I was just amazed by the level of cooperativity between physicians and researchers in working together to try to find cures for cancer. So then after I got my PhD here at the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences, I actually did something kind of non-traditional and went to Europe to do a first postdoctoral fellowship. And as a PhD student, I had been invited to give a talk in Germany, and when I was there, I interviewed at several laboratories, one in Sweden and one in Switzerland. And to this day, I really don't know why I had it in my head that I would go to Europe for a postdoc, although I knew that there were really good labs there. I think it was just kind of a whimsy to live somewhere different and do great science at the same time. And in choosing the lab that I ended up in, which was in Stockholm, Sweden, I knew that the person that I would be working for was a really great mentor and had a strong track record for seeing the people that trained with him into the sorts of careers that they wanted to develop for themselves. So for 18 months, I got to live in Stockholm, Sweden. I worked really hard, but it was really fun to be in a different country and experience a different culture. And about all the Swedish I learned was to say I cannot speak Swedish in Swedish. But it was an amazing experience. So after I finished my first postdoctoral fellowship, I knew I wanted to return to the US to a setting that was more incorporating of science and medicine. And so I chose to do a second postdoctoral fellowship at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. And that was quite the experience. So Rochester is not a very big city. It's about 75,000 people. So coming from Houston, a city of 4 million, and then Stockholm, which is probably over 1 million, it was quite a change in terms of just the city itself and the size of the city. And then the weather was also quite different from what I was accustomed to, because even though Stockholm is cold, Rochester, Minnesota made Stockholm seem like the banana belt, especially for the winters that I was there. But the Mayo Clinic is an amazing place. And the level of mentorship that I got there was also phenomenal, because in addition to the medical care being exceptional, since the ratio of doctors to patients is so low, the ratio of mentors to students or postdocs is also very low. So the people that I met there were always available. They were always interested in talking science with you. They wanted to discuss experiments. It was a great place. So after I finished my 2-year fellowship there, I was recruited back to MD Anderson by the then and current head of pediatrics, Dr. Eugenie Kleinerman. And I've been here for 8 years, and I love it.